Was proud to present Dr. Leif Gustavsson.
I want to talk about wood construction and climate change mitigation. I think it's very important that the forest sector contribute to mitigate climate change, and I think we need to have a holistic understanding. We have to look at the forest ecosystems, and we have to look at the products we could harvest from the forest, wood products, bioenergy, but also we have to look into what kind of products could these wood products replace in the society. For example, cement, steel, and so on. And also, what kind of fossil fuels, for example, could this bioenergy, wood biomass replace? So we have to look both in the forest sector and the technical sector that provide different services to the society. I think we need to have a look at all significant net greenhouse gases in a life cycle perspective of wood construction, if we look in wood construction, and compare it to non-wood alternatives. And it's three important parts. It's the forest management, building material and construction of buildings, and end-of-life implications. We have to look have a forward-looking analysis and be careful to use historical average values. I think the forest is very important. So if we harvest different forest products, we should maintain or increase the carbon density of a forest. And of course, we should try to keep the forest area, maintain it or increase it. That is an important part for minimizing the net greenhouse gas emissions to the atmosphere. And this is also happening if you manage the forest in a good way. These figures show the standing stem volume of Swedish product forest land from 1950 to about 2000. And it has been increasing by about 50%. And the scenarios for the future showing a significant increase with about 50% from 2010 to 2110. Still, we are harvesting about 80 million cubic meters. So here we have a win-win situation. You can use wood construction, as I said, instead of non-wood construction, use woody biomass instead of fossil fuels. That is quite complicated issues, but let's look into it. But first I want to present the modern wood frame building that was constructed in Sweden in 2009. Actually, it was 4 buildings, and they were winning the 2010 Swedish Last Prize for Society Constructions. And this building is built by massive wood, and it built in competition with other materials. So that shows that you can build in an economic way with wood. And if you look into the climate advantages of wood construction, less fossil energy is used to manufacture wood products compared with alternative materials. You could also avoid industrial process carbon emissions, such as from cement manufacturing, by using more wood, for example, instead of concrete, and using wood residues from processing industries, logging residues, construction residues. It could be an important resource for bioenergy to replace fossil fuels. Of course, we are also temporarily storing carbon in wood materials, and at the end of life, wood is a carbon neutral energy source. Here's an example of a case study building. This building was built in the middle of the 90s in Sweden with wood frame constructions, but it was also designed for reinforced concrete frame. So here we have a perfect comparison between 2 buildings that could deliver the same building services. And if you look at the primary energy use for the building production, then we could see that the wood frame building used about 2,300 gigajoule to be produced, including materials, transportation, etc., while the concrete frame building uses nearly 3,000 gigajoule. And when I mentioned biomass residues is important source for bioenergy, here we could have forest residues, wood processing residues, construction residues, and then at the end of life demolition residues. And these pictures show that the biofuel available from these sources is bigger than the production energy for a wood frame building. So the available bioenergy or biofuels are about 3,400 for a wood frame building, and about 2,200 for the concrete building, but also need more production energy. And bioenergy is actually an important part of the Swedish energy supply. And what we can see in this picture as from the 1983, we have increased the use of bioenergy from about 50 terawatt hours to 140 terawatt hours 2012. And it's electricity production and district heating that has the most increased. And if you look and compare it to the total final energy use in Sweden, that has been about 350 to 400 terawatt hours. So bioenergy is a very important part of the Swedish energy supply. And here policy instruments has been very important for this development. Energy taxes, carbon taxes, renewable electricity certificates. But come back to the building I just showed you the example of. Here is the carbon balance of a building over 100-year life cycle. Here we can see the fossil fuel for material production, that is net CO2 emission as a kilo CO2 per square meter of heated area. And then here we see the net emission from cement reactions. And here we see the negative CO2 emissions because we use a biomass to replace fossil energy. And here we see the total. And the concrete building emit net emissions, while the wood building has negative emissions. That is mainly due to the replacement of fossil energy by the residues. Then some conclusions. Climate implication of construction should be considered in a life cycle perspective. Important parts to be considered are forest management, building production, and end-of-life management. Bioresidues are an important energy source. And wood buildings, materials, wood constructions give high economic added value and high climate change mitigation per hectare of forest land. If you look at Swedish energy and carbon taxes, that increase the competitiveness of wood buildings by only about 1% of the construction costs. So that this policy instrument is not so much steering the implementation of wood construction. So for multi-story wood buildings that are a new innovation needs further policy support. Thank you.